Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're basically dropping you straight into a survival simulation for living in or even just visiting Japan. We're going to tackle something you absolutely cannot avoid: money, numbers, and making sure you don't accidentally agree to pay 10 times more than you intended. By the end of this, we're going to be speaking out loud, drilling pronunciation, and navigating Japanese prices together like absolute pros. So let's jump in. Picture this. You're sitting in a Tokyo real estate office. The agent tells you the price of an apartment. You nod along, thinking you just scored the deal of a lifetime at 5,000 yen. But wait, did they actually just say 50,000 yen? When it comes to Japanese numbers, the financial and social stakes of misinterpreting are incredibly high. I mean, a single syllable can literally be the difference between a cheap lunch and your entire monthly rent. And look, if you do make that mistake, you might hear a slightly embarrassing but highly realistic correction from the agent. It's going to sound something like this. 5,000 yen じゃなくて5万円じゃないですか? It's not 5,000 yen, it's 50,000 yen, isn't it? Honestly, I am so relieved to be able to share the secret to avoiding this. To never be on the receiving end of that awkward sentence, we just have to completely rewire how our brains group numbers. Okay, let's dive into this. In English, we group large numbers in sets of 3, 1,000, million, billion. But Japanese groups large numbers in sets of 4. 10,000 is mon, 100 million is oku, and a trillion is cho. Now notice how 10, 100, and 1,000 don't need the number 1 in front of them. You just say ju, hyaku, or sen. But the second you hit 10,000, you must add ichi. It is always ichimon, never just mon. If you can visualize that comma moving over one spot to group by 4, Japanese numbers suddenly just click. Now, knowing the base numbers is one thing, but actually saying them in the real world is another entirely, because the sounds actually change. It's time for an interactive audio drill. I want you to literally say this out loud wherever you're sitting right now. How do you say 300 in Japanese? 100 is hyaku, so 300 is what? Take a guess. It's sanbyaku. Did you notice that? The hya sound in hyaku shifts heavily to a b sound, samyaku. Let's keep the rapid-fire drill going. If 6 is roku and 100 is hyaku, what is 600? Say it out loud. If you said roppyaku, you totally nailed it. Celebrate that. Here, the H shifts to a really sharp double P sound. Roppyaku. You really have to strongly pop your lips on that P. All right, let's apply that exact same logic to 800. 8 is hachi. What happens when you combine it with hundreds? Take a second, try it out loud. It is happyaku. Excellent. Again, we get that distinct, sharp double P sound. Happyaku. Okay, let's level up. We're shifting this drill to thousands. 1,000 is sen. 3 is sun. So what is 3,000? Let's hear it. It's sanzen. Listen to that auditory anchor. The S in sen completely changes to a buzzing Z sound. Sanzen. Let's try one last big one for the flashcards. 8 is hachi. 1,000 is sen. How would we say 8,000? It's hassen. The S turns into a really strong held double S. Hassen. I urge you to just repeat that aloud right now. Hassen. Building this muscle memory is exactly how you sound completely natural instead of stumbling at the cash register. Now that we've got the numbers down, we actually need to attach them to things. Because in Japanese, bare numbers aren't enough. You almost always need a classifier, basically a word that tells you what's being counted. We have en for yen, dolu for dollars, and bon for order, like first, second, or third. But you have to watch out for 4, 7, and 9. They fluctuate. For example, 4 yen is yon en, but $4 is yon doru. 7 yen is nana en, and 9 yen is qn. There is no single magic rule for these troublemakers. You just kind of have to learn how they behave with each specific classifier. Speaking of yen, let's define an absolute necessity if you ever go apartment hunting in Tokyo or Osaka. The word is yachin. It means rent. Combine it with the phrase for how much is it, and you get yachin wa ikura desu ka? How much is the rent? I'll say it slowly. Ya-chin wa ikura desu ka. Say it with me. Yachin wa ikura desu ka? I promise you that is a sentence that will save your wallet. Now, what's really interesting here is the classifier bon. When you put ichi with bon, you get ichiban. It literally means number 1.
But it also acts as an adverb meaning the best or the most. And here is a fantastic little pitch accent Easter egg. When a native speaker means number one literally, the pitch falls, ichiban. But when they mean the best, the pitch actually rises on the second half, ichiban. It's a tiny, subtle shift, but it carries entirely different meanings.
Okay, let's move on to actually sounding natural in conversation. Native speakers really hate repetitive clunkiness. If we're already talking about apartments, I don't want to keep saying cheap apartment, new apartment, big apartment. It's exhausting. First, we have yasui apato, cheap apartment, but we can elegantly replace that noun with the pronoun no, giving us yasui no, a cheap one. It's such a brilliant shortcut so you don't sound like a robot constantly repeating the exact same word. And we can take that a step further to sound even more natural. Let's compare two ways to ask a question. First, imagine a very blunt tone. Motto yasui no wa arimasen ka? Aren't there cheaper ones? It's direct, it's expecting an immediate answer. But instead, we can add a magical little particle combination, kane. Motto yasui no wa arimasen ka ne? Notice how the tone softens? It transforms the sentence into, I wonder if there are cheaper ones. It just completely removes the pressure. It softens the question beautifully. This social payoff of kane is massive. Imagine someone asks you a question, and you frankly just don't know the answer. Saying I don't know bluntly can actually shut down the conversation and seem a bit cold. But if you say, dare desu ka ne? I wonder who it is too. You are warmly and politely admitting you don't know while keeping the conversation collaborative. You're wondering right along with them. It builds instant rapport. All right, let's initiate our final interactive role-play drill. Imagine you're back in that real estate office. The agent tells you that apartment number 15 is 67,000 yen. But that's a bit out of your budget. You need to ask if there is a cheaper one, but you want to do it politely, using everything we just learned. Take a second. How would you construct that Japanese response? Remember, the pronoun no and the softener, kani. Got it in your head? Okay, this brilliantly illustrates how it all comes together. Let's walk through the dialogue. You say, 15番は いくらですか? How much is number 15? The agent replies, 67000 yen desu. It's 67,000 yen. Did you catch that four-digit grouping for 60,000? 6만. And then your perfect natural response. Motto yasui no wa arimasen ka ne? I wonder if there is a cheaper one. You used big numbers perfectly, you used the pronoun no to avoid repeating apartment, and you used the softener kane to keep the interaction polite and low pressure. You literally just navigated a complex negotiation politely and naturally. You are now officially armed with a highly practical toolkit for navigating Japan. You can group large numbers, shift your pronunciations for hundreds and thousands, avoid clunky repetitions, and soften your requests exactly like a native speaker. So, here's my final question for you. What price are you going to negotiate next? I highly encourage you today to look at prices online, on menus, or in stores, and mentally translate them into perfectly grouped Japanese yen. Keep practicing, keep speaking out loud, and I'll catch you in the next one.